Welcome, history buffs. Welcome back, or welcome to my channel. I am your host and guide, Tammy D. Now let's dive into some spine-tingling historical tales with a twist. Imagine a world where a book eerily foreshadows the tragic sinking of an ocean liner. Is it a mere coincidence, or is there something more mysterious at play? Now picture this. As the Titanic set sail on that fateful night, whispers of conspiracy filled the air. Was it really an iceberg that brought the unsinkable ship down? Or were there other forces at play? Join me today on this hair-raising journey through history, where we will unravel the mysteries and conspiracies surrounding the Titanic disaster. Together, we'll explore the weird, the wonderful, and the downright scary tales from the past. The RMS Titanic. Now that's a name that sends shivers down our spines. It met its tragic fate on April 15, 1912, when it struck an iceberg in the North Atlantic Ocean. And more than 1,500 people lost their lives in what remains one of the most horrifying maritime disasters in history. But there's more to this story that's bound to raise your eyebrows and perhaps even spark a question or two. The Titanic was a marvel of its time, the second of three Olympic-class ocean liners constructed for the White Star Line. It was built in Belfast, Ireland. It was a symbol of luxury and opulence, attracting some of the world's wealthiest passengers. However, beneath the surface of this grandeur lies an eerie coincidence. The name itself is derived from Greek mythology, paying homage to the Titans. Furthermore, rumours and conspiracy theories abound the Titanic. Some suggest that it wasn't the iceberg alone that caused its demise. Some say it was, in fact, the already injured RMS Olympic, which had been swapped and used in Titanic's place. It was going to be too costly to repair, and so it was better to sink it. It made more economical sense, as the insurance companies was sure to pay up. I always find it funny how the owner did not board the Titanic that day, but yet his competitors and their families did. And then I also wonder, was the captain in on it? This was supposed to be his last voyage. He was going to retire. Some say he was in on it because, despite receiving multiple warnings about drifting ice, the ship's captain, Edward John Smith, continued to steam at full speed, leading to the catastrophic collision. Not to mention how it's quite eerie when you start connecting the dots. I mean, picture this. The dining saloon and grand staircase of the RMS Olympic was identical to those on the Titanic. Is that coincidence or something more? You decide. Now here's where it gets really spine-tingling. In 1898, Margaret Robertson penned a novel named Futility about a British passenger liner called the SS Titan. It hit an iceberg and sank in April. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? But here's where it gets even weirder. Titanic's rudder was so massive It required two steam-powered steering engines, yet only one was used at a time. Perhaps they were preparing for something they did or didn't expect. Did you know Smith experienced his fair share of scrapes and near misses during his 40 years of his maritime career? One notable incident occurred just a year before when Titanic's sister ship Olympic collided with the Royal Navy cruiser HMS Hawke, which was under Smith's command in September 1911. The collision shattered Hawke's bow, but filled two of Olympic's compartments and twisted one of her propeller shafts. The Royal Navy placed the blame on White Star, contending that Olympic's displacement had drawn in the naval ship. Spooky, isn't it? And then there's the infamous SS Californian, a ship that was eerily close to the Titanic during the disaster. The wireless operator Jack Phillips, who did survive, his companion sadly didn't, rebuked the Californian for not responding to distress signals. The British inquiry into the disaster revealed that the Californian did in fact see the Titanic's lights and distress signals, but did not take action, leading to further speculations about what might have been done to prevent the tragedy had they acted. The aftermath of the Titanic disaster. When the RMS Carpathia finally reached New York, it was met with a massive crowd. The Women's Relief Committee and others offered immediate aid to the survivors. Can you imagine the relief, the stories they must have shared? And let's not forget that Titanic's passengers included 107 children. The third class had the most, making it even more heart-wrenching, knowing that those children were going to America to start a new life and never made it. In the days and weeks following, lawsuits, insurance claims, and inquiries was rife. The US Senate initiated an inquiry into the disaster, and the British Board of Trade also conducted its investigations. The results of these investigations pointed to high-speed navigation in ice as a significant factor. But wait, there's even more spine-tingling tales that challenges the very notion of Captain Smith's demise on that fateful night aboard the Titanic. 3 short months after the heart-wrenching tragedy, an intriguing character by the name of Peter Prial emerged from the shadows of Baltimore, Maryland, with a jaw-dropping assertion. According to Mr. Prial, he had not once but twice laid eyes upon Captain Smith himself, walking the streets of his city. It's almost comically eerie, isn't it? A world where the supposed hero of the ill-fated ship, thought to have perished in icy waters, strolling about in Baltimore. But that's not the punchline of this ghastly yarn. Prial spun a web of tales claiming he served as an officer aboard the White Star liner Majestic during the very time Captain Smith was at the helm. Not just that, but he insisted that he engaged in conversation with the captain during these extraordinary chance encounters in Baltimore. They chatted, they laughed, and Captain Smith allegedly parted ways with the cryptic words, "Be good, shipmate, until we meet again." And if that isn't mind blowing enough, fast forward to 1940, when Life magazine published a letter that sent shivers down everyone's spines. This letter added an entirely new layer to the already bizarre Captain Smith enigma. It suggested that after the Titanic calamity, our beloved captain spent his twilight years as an elderly derelict in Lima, Ohio. Yes, you heard that right. They called him Silent Smith. So picture this enigmatic figure arriving in Lima 3 years after the Titanic went down. A shroud of mystery enveloped him, and he bore a striking physical resemblance to our famous Captain Smith. But wait, there's even more. Silent Smith flaunted tattoos that could only belong to the most grizzled and seasoned seafarers. Tattoos that whispered of untold tales and adventures on the high seas. So, as you venture into the murky waters of Titanic lore, remember that the story doesn't end with an iceberg. Captain Smith's fate is shrouded in enigma and peppered with eerie coincidences, and it leaves us all wondering if, just maybe, he had a rendezvous with destiny beyond the icy depths of the Atlantic. The ship's wreck was discovered in 1985, has since been visited and explored numerous times. The two sections of the Titanic, the bow and the stern, are now located miles apart on the ocean floor. Salvaging efforts have recovered numerous artifacts and personal belongings, which are displayed in museums worldwide. In popular culture, the Titanic disaster has inspired numerous books, movies, and memorials, leaving an undeniable mark on our collective memory. James Cameron's 1997 film Titanic is perhaps the most famous adaptation of this tragic tale and was turned into a tragic love story. The sinking itself, though, remains the most chilling part. More than 1,500 lives were lost, making it the deadliest peacetime sinking in history. Was it just an iceberg? Or was there something else lurking beneath the surface? Now on to two more conspiracies. The submersible Titan, operated by OceanGate Expeditions, vanishes in 2023, just like something out of a thriller. The US Coast Guard later finds presumed remains. Or, conspiracy number two, the fact that the Titanic had an Egyptian mummy in its cargo hold, en route to an American museum. Was that Egyptian mummy cursed, or just coincidence? Or is there something more mysterious afoot? So, whether it's strange coincidences, conspiracies, or the tragedy itself, the Titanic story is a never ending iceberg of mysteries and intrigue. What do you think? If you liked today's episode, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the little bell icon. Make sure you put it to all notifications. And go ahead, leave your comments down below.